So the business is called Raw Milk and Deadlifts, and really, in a nutshell, it's a way for myself and my business partner Luke to combine our passion for farming and good foods with our passion for fitness, exercise, and lifting weights, and kind of merging those two worlds together. Yeah, so the raw milk enjoyers and raw milk lovers, I would say they tend to be mostly into just overall wellness, good foods, and trying to take care of their bodies to the best of their ability. I would also say they tend to be the mostly Christian group, so it's very easy to talk to them and relate to them about taking care of our bodies that are the temple of God and the Holy Spirit. And they can really get on board pretty easily with the fitness side of things because of that understanding. And then yeah, the iron addicts and the iron lovers, they love the raw milk because a lot of them will try it out and realize how much it helps their workouts, because it's such a nutrient dense food full of good healthy fats, good healthy calories. And a lot of people will attest to the fact that it makes them stronger in the gym. So that's kind of what they love about it. I had done some personal training for a few years before the Raw Milk and Deadlifts thing. And I guess the main things that we talk about fitness-wise is trying to get people to understand how to really move and train their bodies in a truly functional, compound way. And that term functional gets thrown around a lot. It's a buzzword now. But when we say functional, we say, okay, what are the movements that people naturally do when they're doing like physical labor work, like farming, for example, right? And you quickly realize we are not designed just to move in these isolated planes of motion, right? Like not just bicep curls alone, not just very linear moves. I think those can be good for certain things, but our bodies are supposed to move in compound ways. That's one of the reasons why we love the deadlift, because you are bending over, hinging at the waist, using your posterior chain to pick up heavy objects. You spend one day doing farm chores, you quickly realize that's really the way you should be training, because that's how you function when you're actually out in the world doing physical labor. Why is it so darn good? Well, that's the whole question, right? And that's a topic you could go down a long rabbit hole and probably never get to the end of. I think the biggest things are it's a living food, and it's full of bacteria and enzymes, digestive enzymes, that are super good for us. So it has enzymes that are designed to digest carbs, to digest sugars, to digest fats. It is full of tons of good bacteria for our gut. And as so many people are learning now, our gut health reflects our overall health and affects pretty much every function of the body. It's also a great source of healthy fats and omega-3s. It has all the essential minerals and electrolytes. So you can really probably replace most of your supplements with good quality raw milk. And it's just such a bioavailable food. Not only does it have nutrients, but they're so easy for us to absorb from the raw milk because of all the enzymes and bacteria that are in there. So gosh, in a lot of ways, it's almost just a perfect food, and it's delicious. So you can't beat that. I guess a couple things on that. Depending how you eat, if some people subscribe to maybe more of a ketogenic type of diet, then of course, anyone who does that knows that the fats, as long as you're limiting the carbs and sugars, the fats are not going to make you fat. You can actually stay very lean on fats. But what else I would say is, if you are worried about those nutrients, and especially like the sugars and carbs that you might feel keep you from getting or staying lean, I would recommend other versions of raw dairy. For example, like kefir. When you ferment raw dairy, that fermentation process actually eats up the lactose in the milk, which is the sugars and carbohydrates in the milk. So you actually have a much leaner product that is going to be able to keep you much leaner. So I would say look into just other versions of raw dairy, especially fermented versions with fermented yogurts or kefir, and you can get those digestive benefits while still staying lean and keeping those sugars down. I wish. Maybe one day, Lord willing, you get it at Walmart, but each state has different laws, and a lot of them have different loopholes that you have to kind of jump through to get your hands on raw milk. So I would give 2 pieces of advice. The first one, get to know your local farmers, right? Talk to people at your farmers markets. Even if there's no one selling milk, talk to the grass-fed beef guy. Talk to the person who sells pastured chickens. Ask them who they know, because farming communities usually are pretty tight-knit and people know people. The other great resource is a website called realmilk.com, and that was started by the Weston Price Foundation, and it has a raw milk locator on their website. So you plug in your zip code and it will come up with raw dairy farms near you, and it might not always be like perfect, maybe not always completely updated, but it's a great place to start getting some leads on who has raw milk around you. Probably most of our following is kind of conservative farmers or homesteader type people, and it just worked out for us that most of them are very strong Christians, or at least hold to those values. So we just ended up getting great fellowship with other believers, so we're very fortunate, I guess, in that response. Definitely mostly women. If I had to throw out a number, I would say maybe 60 to 70% women would be my guess. As far as our following. And then of course you have the occasional big jacked dude who loves raw milk and deadlifting. I think getting back to the values and just living a lifestyle that is innately in men, right? To be physically active, to be physically laborious, even if it's not like your career requires that of you, but to try to be strong and to be honest and to stand for what's right. And just those traditional masculine values, but not in a way that's egocentric and that's trying to like glorify us as men, right? But realizing the first step, I think, to being a strong, courageous man is submitting and bending the knee to Christ. And I think a lot of men just kind of find that, I think they're attracted to that, because at the end of the day, I think that's inside all men. God ordained us to want to live a certain way, and it is just kind of cool how that message, as well as just the farming lifestyle, supports that style of living. So I certainly hope people seeing that, as well as our profession of faith in the gospel, I hope that has motivated men to try to be more Christ-like themselves. When you're in a season of life where it's just a trial and a tribulation, Him essentially almost taking everything else away to force you to flee and cling to His word, right? And it's definitely easier said than done. And I think what it does, and what it did for me, is it highlights how much maybe we reach for the world in those situations, or how much our flesh wants to reach for the world. And yeah, just being, the best way I can describe it is it feels like you're being forced to flee to Him and to cling to Him, which is a beautiful thing at the end of the day, but it is not natural to our flesh, right? Our flesh wants to rebel and do those things. So I would say that, and yeah, just patience and understanding that He has a plan and His will is perfect, and it's not up to us to try to grab Him and bring Him into our plan, but it's up to us to pretty much kill off our plan and just patiently wait for Him to reveal His. One of the best things, one of the best experiences you can give yourself is getting a good quality workout in, especially a deadlifting workout in, especially when it's hot in the summer. Get out in the sun, sweat, put in that work, and then going and crushing a big quart of ice cold raw milk right after as post-workout recovery. There's few things in this world that are as pleasurable as that.